The next important event occurred in the 4th year of Hijrah. We talked about Umayyah bin Amr al-Damri. Actually, I think I didn't mention this. Umayyah al-Damri, he saw 2 men sleeping under a tree. He asked them, who do you belong to? So they said, we belong to so-and-so tribe. And this was the tribe that killed the 70 men, the Qurra. So he went aside until they fell asleep and he killed them. He thought that he had done something right by killing these 2 men because they belonged to this treacherous tribe. But it turned out that these 2 men had an agreement with Rasulullah ﷺ. These 2 men specifically had a peace agreement with Rasulullah ﷺ. So Rasulullah said to Umayyah bin Amr al-Damri, you have killed 2 men, I'm going to have to pay their blood money. So these men were killed mistakenly, they shouldn't have been killed. Therefore Rasulullah ﷺ is going to have to pay their blood money. Now you see here the ruling that لا يقتل مسلم بكافر. A Muslim is not killed for the sake of a disbeliever. That's an important rule of fiqh. So even though Umayyah here killed 2 men that shouldn't have been killed, he is not executed, but the Muslims pay their blood money. So this is an important rule of fiqh. Now remember that Rasulullah ﷺ had an agreement with the Jewish tribes that they would support each other in blood money. That was mentioned in the wathiqah that we read. They would support each other in blood money. So Rasulullah ﷺ goes with Abu Bakr, Umar, some of the other Sahaba. They go to Banu Nadir, this Jewish tribe called Banu Nadir. They go to them and they said, Rasulullah ﷺ tells them, these 2 men have been killed, so I want you to support me in paying their blood money. They said, we agree and we will help you, O Muhammad. Rasulullah ﷺ is sitting under this wall of theirs and they pretend that they're going to bring money to help Rasulullah ﷺ while they went to conspire and plan on how to assassinate him. They said, you're never going to find him in a better position to assassinate than this. He's right under your wall, have somebody climb up and throw a stone on him and let's get rid of him once and for all. Let's get rid of this problem. So they conspired to assassinate the messenger of Allah Azza wa Jal. Something, this is not new. They have tried to do that with Isa alayhi salam. They've tried to do that with plenty of other messengers of Allah. Sometimes they succeeded, sometimes they failed. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam receives revelation from Allah Azza wa Jal. Jibreel comes to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and warns him. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam stands up and leaves without telling the Sahaba anything. He just leaves. He walks away. So the Sahaba are waiting. Rasulullah doesn't show up. They go and inquire. They go back to Medina and ask, where is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And he told them what happened. That Jibreel came and told me that the Jews were planning to assassinate me. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has destroyed the idols and the kufr of Mecca. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam wanted to spread the sovereignty of Islam in the surrounding area. So he sent Khalid ibn Walid in Ramadan to Bani Judaymah. This is an Arab tribe close to Mecca. Says in Bukhari, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Khalid ibn Walid to Bani Judaymah. فَدَعَاهُمْ إِلَى الإسلام. He invited them to Islam. فَلَمْ يُحْسِنُوا أَنْ يَقُولُوا أَسْلَمْنَا. They were not educated enough to say we become Muslim, but they said صَبَأْنَا. The kuffar of Quraysh, when somebody would become Muslim, they would say he has become a Sahaba. Sahaba is one of the religions of Jahiliyyah, and it was a derogatory term against anyone who would become Muslim. So they would never say that such and such has become Muslim. They would say such and such Saba. Now, Khalid bin Walid, he told them become Muslim, they said Saba'na. In reality they wanted to be Muslim, but they were not learned enough to know that they should use the term Aslamna. They picked up this word that they heard everybody else say and they were repeating it. Khalid ibn Walid killed them and he captured the rest and he handed over one prisoner to every soldier of his army. And then Khalid ibn Walid gave his instructions to the army, every soldier to execute his prisoner. Abdullah ibn Umar was in this army and he said, in the name of Allah, I am not going to kill my prisoner. Wallahi la aqtul asiri. Wa la yaqtul rajulun min ashabi asira. I am not going to kill my prisoner and none of my companions are going to kill theirs. Abdullah ibn Umar saw that this was a clear mistake on behalf of Khalid. These people have become Muslim, and then they were killed, and then they were taken as prisoners, and now we are told to execute our prisoners. I'm not going to do it. So it was a clear disobeying of the order of the Amir on behalf of Abdullah ibn Umar. Now Abdullah ibn Umar knows the teachings of Islam, that you should obey the Umara, you should follow the Amir. But he also knows that we should only follow the Amir when the Amir gives us an order that is halal. If he tells us to do something that is haram, there is no obedience. And we know in armies that such a thing, mutiny, is such a dangerous thing to do. But Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu not only did it himself, but he said also all of my companions, people who will listen to me, the people who came with me, they're not going to kill their prisoners. So the issue was raised with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Abdullah ibn Umar that what you have done is right. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam approved Abdullah ibn Umar in his disobedience to the Amir, and then Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam raised his hands and said, Allahumma inni abra'u ilayka mimma sana'a Khalid. Allahumma inni abra'u ilayka mimma sana'a Khalid. Oh Allah, I declare that I am free of what Khalid has done. Oh Allah, I declare that I'm innocent of what Khalid has done. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made it clear that what Khalid has done is wrong. These people should not have been killed. And Rasulullah ﷺ approved Abdullah ibn Umar in his action. So the first lesson we learn here is that we should not follow awliya al-umur, wali al-amr, the people in authority, when they tell us to do something haram. They are to be disobeyed if they tell us to do something haram. Another incident that happened with this Sariyah, there was a man among them who didn't really belong to that tribe. But he was there because the woman whom he loves is from that tribe. So that's the only reason why he was there. He was among the people who were arrested, and his hands were tied. So he told the Muslim soldier who was guarding him to just allow me to go and speak. He pointed out towards some woman, and he told the Muslim, just allow me to go and have a final visit or final word with those women over there, and then do with me whatever you want. And it's just the last sight. So the Muslim allowed him. So he went and he said, Aslimi Hubaysh qabla nafadh al-aish. Aslimi means accept, or means become Muslim. Hubaysh, her name, qabla nafadh al-aish, before life is over. She said, Fadaytuka, I would sacrifice myself for you. And then he was taken and executed. She saw that, and she came over him and sighed once or twice, and then she fell next to him dead. When this story was related to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Ama kana fikum rajulun rahim." Wasn't there a merciful man among you? Not only was the killing wrong, but also you killed this man in such a way, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam felt sorry for these people and what happened to them, and therefore Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sent Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu to pay the diyah. So Ali ibn Abi Talib was sent by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to pay blood money compensation for all those who were killed, because the ones who were killed are Muslim. They made a mistake by saying saba'na, but in reality what they mean is aslamna. They were paid for everything. Anything that was missing, their belongings that were taken, Ali ibn Abi Talib compensated them for everything. Blood money in addition to any belongings that were taken from them. And then there was some leftover money with him. He gave it to them just in case. So this is how Rasulullah ﷺ dealt with this situation. These were Muslims who were killed by mistake. They were paid blood money. But pay attention to what Ibn Kathir has to say after he mentions this incident. He said, فَقَتَلَ طَائِفَ كَثِيرًا مِنْهُمْ وَقَتَلَ أَكْثَرَ الْأَسْرَى أَيْضًا. Ibn Kathir says, فَقَتَلَ, he killed, meaning Khalid bin Walid, he killed many of them, and he killed most of the prisoners also. وَمَعَ هَذَا لَمْ يَعْزِلْهُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. Nevertheless, Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم did not fire him from his position. بَلْ اسْتَمَرَّ بِهِ أَمِيرًا. But Rasulullah صلى الله عليه وسلم kept on appointing Khalid in positions of responsibility as an Amir. وإن كان تبرأ منه في صنيعه ذلك. Even though Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam announced and declared that he is free and innocent of what Khalid has done. وَوَدَى مَا كَانَ جَنَاهُ خَطَأً فِي دَمٍ أَوْ مَالٍ. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam paid compensation for the mistakes of Khalid that were done in blood or wealth. فَفِيهِ دَلِيلٌ لِأَحَدِ الْقَوْلَيْنِ مِنَ الْعُلَمَاءِ. In this, there is evidence for one of the opinion of the scholars, في أن خطأ الإمام يكون في بيت المال. That when the Imam commits a mistake, the money is not paid from his money, but from the treasury of the Muslims. والله أعلم. And then he says, وَلِهَذَا لَمْ يَعْزِلْهُ الصديق حين قتل مالك بن النويرة أيام الردة وتأول عليه ما تأول حين ضرب عنقه واصطفى امرأته متميم. And that is why Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu did not change him, did not fire him in the time of Riddah, during the days of apostasy, and Abu Bakr excused him when he killed Malik bin Nuwayrah, who was supposedly Muslim, and he took over his wife Tamim, because, and we talked about this in the lecture series of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, that Khalid bin Walid killed Malik bin Nuwayrah, and then he took his wife Tamim. Umar bin Khattab was angry by the actions of Khalid bin Walid and said, اعزله فإن في سيفه رهقا. Fire him, change him, because his sword is severe. فقال الصديق لا أغمد سيفا سله الله على المشركين. I am not gonna sheathe a sword that was unsheathed by Allah Azza wa Jal on the mushrikeen, on the polytheist. This was a sword drawn by Allah Azza wa Jal on the kuffar. I'm not gonna put it down. Therefore, we can learn from this Al-Hadi al-Nabawi, the Sunnah, in dealing with the mistakes of the Muslims in battle. These were Muslims and they were compensated. They were Muslim and they were compensated for the mistake of Khalid bin Walid. Khalid bin Walid was not imprisoned. He was not fired from his position. Why? Because there is ta'wil. He didn't assume them to be Muslim. But if a leader kills Muslims and he knows that they are Muslim, then this is a different situation. Here the hukm would be different. The situation we're talking about is where the issue was clear to people like Abdullah bin Umar and the ones with him that these are Muslim. But with Khalid bin Walid, he definitely did not consider them Muslim. I mean, we cannot assume, no one should assume that Khalid bin Walid ordered Muslims to be executed. That is impossible. That's not the case. Khalid bin Walid considered them to be kuffar. A Muslim is never handed over to the kuffar, and a Muslim is never betrayed, because Rasulullah ﷺ says, Al-Muslimu akhul Muslim, la yakhdilhu wa la yaslimuhu wa la yadhlimuh. Muslim is the brother of a Muslim. He doesn't give him up, he doesn't betray him, and he doesn't oppress him. So, the way Rasulullah ﷺ dealt with this situation is that Rasulullah made it clear that he disagrees with it, but he did not punish Khalid bin Walid for it, but he paid the blood money to the families of the deceased. And again, the reason why Rasulullah paid them is because the deceased were Muslim, they weren't even kafir. And I try to clarify this ruling because I think there's a lot of confusion surrounding it. Unfortunately, some Muslims value the blood of al-kuffar more than the blood of the Muslims, and they're willing to hand over their Muslim brothers to the kuffar, and they're willing to fight, in fact, not only hand over to the kuffar, but to fight their Muslim brothers. And this is because the understanding of wala and bara in this time is very weak. This is one aspect of aqeedah in which the Muslims need to concentrate on. They should know who the loyalty belongs to and who the Muslim should be free from.